Menezes will give us the welcome note. Welcome, Vivek. Thank you. What lovely turnout. So lovely to open this. Of course, huge kudos to the Goa Heritage Action Group and this team who are doing something super valuable there. I really appreciate how well it's been curated and how broad it is. In some ways, we actually haven't discussed it with the founders, but I know that Goa Heritage Action Group started with walks. It started with them, neither of them were born and raised in Goa, and others, walking through the old parts of Panjim and recognizing that there was something there that we can look at with 20th century eyes at that time and now 21st century eyes and detect a story, a value, the perception of heritage. The idea of heritage came, is complicated, but it's something that we can all agree on. It can be unlocked through experience. So the two things I'd like to mention about walking is that our 21st century understanding of Goa, of our culture, has really come through what old people in the older days might be called field work, but can also be called leg work. It's by actually physically walking through these spaces and experiencing them in new ways. The city of Panjim itself historically was built in a period, the great modern period, which created characters, modern characters like the boulevardier, the flaneur. Panjim was built at that same time. We have the language of the people who were building these spaces, and they built it for people, for the city to be experienced on foot in a particular way. And you can actually get that today. You can also learn a lot about the history. When I first started walking around Panjim, I moved to Panjim after living in big cities, New York, London, Paris to some extent, where I walked a lot. And when I came to Panjim, I walked through it a lot. I had read everything that there was to read, that you could read, understood what was there in the Konkani and Marathi register as well. But it was insufficient. What I was able to see, what we were able to experience on these walks, on understanding the buildings, the relationship to each other, was not yet in the history books. There are many things, many wonders that are revealed on foot. For instance, one of the ones that's my favorite, took me a long time to figure out really, is the relationship between the Mamai Kamat house and the old secretariat. We are told one story in history, that there was a conqueror and then there was a conquered. But when you live in the Mamai Kamat, when you see the Mamai Kamat house and its relationship to the old secretariat, at one point actually we had, when the building was being redone, I was in the first curatorial committee, we had an office there. You realize there is a kind of uncomfortable proximity between the so-called ruler and the so-called ruled. Who is the ruler and who is the ruled in this instance? And that is something you can only get when you experience the buildings in that way. I noticed Srinivas was smiling. There's also something to be learned in the close proximity between the Dempo family residence and the Patel, right? We are told through history that one is a ruler, one is a subject, who is supposedly on the upper hand. But here you see in Goa, there's a great fluidity. And I think that what you have in front of you, this 30-day banquet or 30-walk banquet, is just one of the greatest things that has been done on behalf of our culture in a very long time. But since you're here, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Mr. Bhate is here, who reveals a lot about the city himself, but give me an opportunity, Mr. Bhate, to tell you what I've learned from the whole thing here, but this building. So this building here, this structure, is a pastiche structure. If you look at it, it looks very fluid, but you will realize if you look at it, that the pillars come from one place and the dome comes from another place. It is a building that has been put together. And when you read this building closely, you realize that when it was being built, old Goa was also being destroyed. It is not something passive. We are told that the old Goa was abandoned because of the plague. It is not actually true. If you read the buildings, the story of Panjim, these things around you, you will see that there was a conspicuous rise of the native and a defeat of the so-called metropole at that time. So the rise of Panjim is the defeat of old Goa. There's much more to be said. You will learn much more. But a huge congratulations to Goa Heritage Action Group, this wonderful team for doing what you've done. Amazing banquet of walks for the next 30 days. The best people to take you on these walks. Big hands.
All the best.
As one of the organizers, I don't think I could have told you all about the importance of heritage works better than Vivek did. Can we have another round of applause for Vivek? Our next speaker is Prajwal. Is there anyone here who doesn't know Prajwal? Prajwal is going to be telling us the significance of Azad Maidan. Welcome, Prajwal.
Namaskar. I welcome Sir Srinivas Tempo, chief guest for today. Now, this place, this square is called Azad Maidan. Why Azad Maidan? I'll tell you. First, I want all of you to look at this yellow house over here. Yeah. The heritage house with the ochre color. Now, before it was called Azad Maidan, this square was known as Largo de Set Zonelas. That is, if you stand there and count the number of windows, it is 7. So a house with 7 windows. So this square was overlooking that house, and that is why it was called Largo de Set Zonelas. Okay, that was during the Portuguese period. Now, if you look at the facade of the police quartel, there is a date inscribed over there, 1832. So in 1832, you find the police quartel being inaugurated, and there is this open square here. Initially, it must have been inundated or marshy. Much of Panjim is reclaimed, and then you have 25th November. You know this date, whether you call it a dark or bright or ugly or whatever. The 25th November undoubtedly is the watershed date in Goa's history, because it was on this day that Afonso de Albuquerque was successful in reconquering Goa. When I say Goa, I mean the Tiswadi island, from the Adil Shah of Bijapur. That was 25th November 1510. Now that day, 25th November, was commemorated by the Portuguese government every year. More so after Panjim was declared as the capital of Goa on 22nd March 1843. You have the Portuguese government organizing a huge commemorative function on 25th November. Now on 25th November 1954, you have the Portuguese government gathered here, the Portuguese officers, the people of Panjim in large numbers, and there's a function. And the Portuguese governor, Bernard Guedes, is about to unfurl the flag, you know, as like we do it on the Republic Day on 19th December to commemorate 25th November. At that point of time, they were all caught unawares, and I salute this particular lady, which I'm going to mention now. I had the occasion to interview her, meet with her. She is 99 years of age now. She lives in Bombay. Her name is Sindhu Deshpande. And suddenly she comes, she rushes as about Bernard Guedes, the Portuguese governor, is about to unfurl the Portuguese flag. She rushes with the Indian flag along with Lakshman Govekar, and both are members of the National Congress Goa, and she raises the nationalist slogan of Jai Hind. So this happened on 25th November 1954, and the people were aghast, and there's this lady who is doing this job, you know, and so the Portuguese police rushed towards her. She's arrested. She's both Lakshman Govekar from Apsa and Sindhu Deshpande. They are both taken to the Panjim police station opposite. She's incarcerated over there for a few days. And from then onwards, the people began to associate this square with Azad, freedom. And then once again on women, you have a group of young girls. Kalindi Gaunekar, now she is known as Mandaki Zwarkar. I also interviewed her. Along with her comrades, Madhvi Desai Katkar and Shanta Kirtani, they came together and they decided to launch a satyagraha on 15th August 1955 here, reminiscing of what Sindhutai Deshpande, their inspiration, had done. So they come here and they are carrying the Indian flag, and there was a mango tree, I don't know whether it is still there. They threw the Indian flag on the mango tree. So the Portuguese, so all these girls were arrested, And it was very interesting to hear this lady out. She lives on the Kadamba Plateau, and they were locked up inside for a few hours. Okay, and from then onwards, the people started associating this Maidan with Azad Maidan. And after liberation, you have the government officially declaring it as Azad Maidan, and there is a memorial coming up. Now about this structure which Vivek Menezes mentioned, this structure was a memorial in honor of Alphonse de Albuquerque, the man who conquered Goa in 1510. It was not Vasco da Gama who conquered Goa in 1510, it was Alphonse de Albuquerque. So there was a statue here, and this structure was built between 1844 to 1847. And so this structure, and the government used to have functions here, the Portuguese government and all. Post-liberation, you have the father of Goa's freedom struggle, Dr. T.B. Kunna's ashes being brought here. They were put up there. There's an urn there dedicated to him. And then it was befitting that we all look up to this place as Azad Maidan. Several Andolans have taken place here, such as the half ticket Andolan was here, 1979, 4th January. Then you have the Goa Bachao Abhiyan, anti-SEZ movement, several. This is the place for people's Andolans. We have also participated in many of the Andolans, as Poonam and Heta will bear me out. And this is how this place is very, I would say, sacred to the freedom fighters and to all of us, the residents of Panjim. I salute this place, and I thank all of you for being here. Thank you.
I think the importance of these walks is also, it's one place, but we've already heard two perspectives. Next up we have Rita Sajita, who is also a member of the Goa Heritage Action Group.
Can Rita walk with us to that spot? The media is waiting over there. Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah. Okay, so let's walk start and let's walk.
Heta, there's a request that
Yeah. Let Rita, you start and we can. So it becomes a walk. Shall we bring this over?
It's a really important perspective, and I know the Azad Maidan and this walk is very personal for Rita as well. We'd love to hear from you, Rita.
Yeah, Rita will walk.
Thank you. Yes.
Prutha, she's Prutha. Don't call her Rita.
Thank you. Let's walk.
You lead us. We'll walk behind you.
Come on. Let's move. Let's go to the other end. Let's go. Hello, Mr. Shane. How are you? Without too many words. Thank you and welcome. I'm going to start with what I have to say. Good evening, everybody. It is such a pleasure to have all of you here for the inaugural of the Walk Fest. And I would like to thank the Walk Fest team, the GHAG, though I'm a part of the GHAG, but the Walk Fest team who's put together this wonderful festival and have asked me to say a few words and share my memories about Panjim. So thank you so much for that. It's overwhelming for me actually to talk about the city that I have been raised in. So I really don't know where to begin, but let it just come. And to begin with, I just feel that the city or the village or the town that you grow up in is like a mother. It's the mother that you have, that has nurtured you with its care and its warmth. And as we know today, most of the people, our younger generation, we tend to move out because of jobs or marriage or, things that take us away from our the place that we were raised, which we today call the city, with reference to Panjim. And when you come back, at some point you come back, you visit or you come back, and when you come back, it's like coming back home to your mother. And just like you have your, when you identify your mother with maybe the touch of her fingers or the warmth of her cheeks, or maybe just the touch of her soft belly, you will find places in the city that gives you that warmth and that caring feeling. So with that, I would just like to say that today what I would like to share with you is very personal. So Prajal has actually opened the evening for us with history and something that's so important to the birth of Panjim. But here I would like to be a little more personal when I say that what the city means to me. And being an architect, I somehow just get naturally pulled towards spaces. And when we talk about a city, we're talking about public spaces, which could be institutional, which could be open spaces, and they are so important because that is what gives the city the character. That is what gives our people the platform to live, to interact, and to feel as their own. But today I would like to do something different. Though the spaces are really dear to me, I would like to talk about some people, or rather some small institutions which were a part of my growing up. And it's more like a tribute. So the experiences are personal, but what happens is you find that, when you live half your life, you find that the spaces are also entwined with sentiments and emotions related to a lot of bonds that you have fostered. It could be family, it could be friends. So they just don't remain physical spaces. And so is the bond that we develop with people over the years. And so let me just start with a few that come to my mind. So now that we're in Azad Maidan, I'm just going to think and just look around this place and see what I remember. And I remember my very early years where I would just tag along with my mother. My siblings were much older and very busy with their own things. So I found myself, tagging along with my mother on many occasions, who was, a regular citizen of the city, doing her shopping. So my mind goes back, my early years of life goes back to the municipal market, which is today not the same space as it is. The old market was here. And the faces of all those women who I think would have come from villages like Taligaon, from Bambolem, where they actually grew their produce, cultivated it and brought it. But I still remember those faces. I don't think they live anymore. They're living anymore. But the coconut lady, the bhajiwali. So these are the faces that first come to my mind. For me, they're not like, I don't know their names, but they're definitely a part of my younger. Coming back to this space, I remember there was a shop there on the other side, which was, besides farm products, which, we went for some really lovely snacks, there was another shop there called Marie's. I don't know how many of you remember it. Yes, Marie's. And there was this lady who was definitely not of Goan origin. She was European, I think, Caucasian. But she made these most beautiful embroidered baby dresses and little girls. So whenever there was a birth in the family and we needed to gift it to them, that was our stall. So I'm just going to talk about, we have Mr. Bhate here, whose Varsha bookstall has been a part of our childhood. And when did we come here most is, teenage, and you were really crazy after these handsome cricketers and you wanted to catch that sports star at the sports league before it got sold out for those, this restaurant called Taj Mahal. And that was the place. Uncle, so Lalita's father, Mr. Vastev Naik, he was the first one who dished out this crisp dosa to us. This with these batis, the chutney. There was no Kamath Hotel, there were no, Shiv Sagars, there was nothing. And this was the place that gave us those, because my friend and I would just be sauntering around the place, and at the end we knew there was this thing waiting for us. And then you go and down the lane, if all of you remember, I'm sure most of you remember Madhu Panwala. So Madhu's Gado, which gave us the pan patti. As children, we were definitely not encouraged to eat pan, but somewhere we managed that pan patti. We sneaked it into, when there were family occasions, and we would carry it. But Madhu is a legend. I mean, pan has never been, or the pan patti has never been a tradition in Goa in that sense. But Madhu's pan patti is something that I think all of us savor till today. And then we go down, and one of the nicest memories that we have as children, we are most attracted to stationery shops because we always need notebooks or pencils or erasers. And that triangle with Bhale, J.D. Fernandez and Tarkar was our mecca. I mean, I don't think we even thought beyond that, And Tarkar especially, I mean, something that touches my heart is that binding machine inside there. Where this Miss Tarkar, the daughter of the family, she ran this machine so beautifully. And what we really took to her were the pages of our old notebooks. At the end of the academic year, you had pages remaining. We would tear those pages and bind them into what we called rough books. Or, the most torn Tintin comics and, whatever, Tarzans and all that went into a digest. We called it digest. So that is what she made for us. And she knew each one of us by name. She knew our siblings. Like somebody came with a thesis to bind. She would say, she had come and I did it for her. So she knew us by name. She knew which family we came from. And these are bonds which are, I feel, so irreplaceable. I mean, today it's not that I know her by name and I go see her every day, but these are memories that will just not somehow get out of our system. So yes, so the tribute today are to these people who made my childhood. And with that, I would like to say, mention something which I think most of the young generation today will not know. And that is the Gado. Do you know what the Gado is? Gado were these strategically located little cards made into kiosks. That was the time before the fiberglass kiosks and all that. And the Gado was a world in its own. And they were placed in different locations in the city. And each Gado would serve that particular neighborhood in such a way that a child going to school in the morning and knows that he doesn't have a pencil because he's finished his last pencil yesterday. 7:30 in the morning, the Gado would be there with the pencils, with the erasers, and when you looked into the Gado was, I think, literally this size. They were these blue wooden things. They had the wheels at the bottom because they were actually made on cars. Though they didn't move, they were stationed. So, for the Gados, it would be like anybody who needed maybe a puff of cigarette or a child who needed a pencil or a notebook. All these things, a little sweet, chickies. But they all went out one day. I think there was some kind of a rule. All the Gados went out of their locations. And we today know of shops. We today know of malls. But these are things. And then I would also like to mention the shoe shine boys who sit in different locations and make a city. Because for the one who needs that shine on the shoe before going for an office meeting, or repair that sandal that just kind of snapped as you were heading through the city, these are the people who make our city. I mean, nameless, we don't know their names, or we don't really honor them, but these are the people who kind of make our city. And these are memories, and for me this is the essence of Panjim. So let me just move on to something slightly different before I finish. Is how did I get into heritage walk? This was like over 10 years ago when I was very closely involved in a children's library called Bookworm. And Bookworm, because I was taking my children there, and Bookworm believed that learning happened in every other way, not only through textbooks. And that's when, because of my passion with Panjim, which I think started in a very young age when my father would just tell me stories about his childhood. And somehow when he told me that, I would just conjure up images in my mind. What did the city look like? How did the people dress up? He would talk about his walk up Lyceum steps to go to Lyceum, high school. And things like that. And how they would picnic somewhere in some place, and things like that, and these would bring about images. So I shared with Bookworm and I said, why don't we run heritage walks for children? And that's when it all began, and we called it Salta Salta. So I'm sure all of you, it rings a bell. What is Salta Salta? To the uninitiated, it's Chalte Chalte or whilst walking. But for the Goan, we know Salta Salta is also the beginning of our most beloved beginning. That is Salta Salta Zalima Karan, Lukun Sotun, Mare Marun, Devi Maji, Diuli, and how Saiba Poltagi Veta. It's a dancing girl saying she's going for a wedding across the river, and she was asking the boatman. So as you know, this is how the word Salta came. We ran these walks every month with a group of children, and it was so, received so well. It was not only for children, we even had adults. And then this whole heritage walk, and before that GHAG had already started, but we were not running it at that time. But today I'm happy that there are so many people doing the heritage walks around the city. And at that time, just to keep the children engaged, and since I love sketching, I would sketch the things with the information with a map that was more like three-dimensional so that they could read it. And they would take back this thing. Like the children always like to take back things. So this was their takeaway. And so somebody who did like all the walks with us would have a whole set of placemats at the end of it, So these are things, and particularly this place is very special to me because this is where my first walk started. And that's when I realized that if we just cross the road and walk along the pavement and come back to the spot, we have an amazing treasure that can be shared with our young minds. Not just young minds, but with everybody. Like, we talk about freedom, we talk about the luminaries who guided us to freedom. We come here, we have the police quarter, then we have the history of printing, which is so significant to the history of Goa. So we have the printing press, we have the Azad, a house steeped in tradition, a house. We are honored to have Mr. Denver with us this evening, but a house steeped in tradition, and they've been hospitable every time we've taken a group. We've gone in, we've shown them the space. So it's not just tradition, but a house with a tradition of charity and a fantastic legend. So you have to come on my walk for that to know the legend. I'm not going to share it here. And then we come across, and then we have a cross across the main road, which is dedicated to the victims of a tragedy. And then we end with the most amazing blue pottery, the blue tiles, the Azad, one of the most splendid works in our city. So you can see that Panjim tells stories every few hundred meters. We don't have to walk too much. So with that, it's a teaser. Please be present for our walk, and thank you so much.
Can we please have another round of applause for Prita? Thank you, Prita, for that extremely personal perspective of your walk. Next up, I'd like to invite Mr. Srinivas Jampo to give us a few words. He's the president of the Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industry, whose office is right here. But before all of that, I think he grew up around the corner here, so we'd love to hear your words in that. Azad.
So let me at the outset add to Vivek's congratulations. I would like to congratulate the Goa Heritage Action Group. They're my friends. It's been a real privilege for our company and our group to proudly associate with many of their projects. In the past, I've known Heta for a long time, Punan for a long time. And today I'm in a little bit of dilemma because after historians and architects and experts have talked, what would a common man like me speak to you about? And I resonate with a lot of things because I come from the same school that Prita went to. We have a couple of other people. I've seen Monica, Madhuri. We all were studying in Shardamande. So it was the same shops that we went to, right? From J.D. Fernandez, Tarkar, because that time we were lucky. We didn't have to buy anything online. And I would say lucky because we actually got to go to places. And I was telling somebody that I still go to Bhate's shop to get my Sunday newspaper because it becomes an excuse for me to go and, see him and also, just see the shop. But there are lots of things that one remembers when you talk about Panjim. You know, we've been fortunate enough, we've got a house which is more than 200 years old. And I was asking Vivek that, you know, I used to always get perplexed because if you see it from the top, how is it that the Kaza Tempo, the police station, the government printing press, and the army quarters there is just one house? You know, there's no gap between these houses, there's no division. So I used to always get perplexed, and Vivek gave me some explanation today which made sense to me. Probably the association was so old with the family and the government those days during the Portuguese time that now it resonates to me why it was just one structure. Couple of things, the carnival in Panjim, it's not the same anymore. But I like that carnival that I used to see at that time. You know, we used to go to our old office, I mean in Tempo House, and we could actually get a view. When we stood in the first floor, we sat, we could get a view. I miss that carnival. You know, I want to see that carnival back. Nothing against the new carnival. Please don't misunderstand. As the city develops, as people develop, you know, things change. You know, again in the 80s, the Shigmo came. And again, we were fortunate. My father was associated. I am associated now, you know, and it gets, Panjim looks so good at night with all those, you know, sculptures and those huge ruts being taken out. The Mahalakshmi temple, because that's where we went every Friday. We prayed to God. It was not only the structure, but also the festivities that are associated with it. Fortunately, the same festivities continue. I don't know whether any one of you all have gone during a festival called Chaitra Punav. You know, Chaitra Punav has that old rath where the goddess is taken in and around the city of Panjim, where, you know, there are many residents there. They offer some garland, fruits to the goddess. So, you know, it's very important that we remember this, we keep this in mind. The fireworks in the Panjim church, you know, I can never forget that. Now, you may call it that it's polluting today, folk, you know, and I remember that it was a whole week, and one day in the week, the newspaper that you own and we run called the Navin Times used to sponsor it.
One food was of Navin Times.
And yeah, you remember that. And you know, we used to go and wait, all the kids, because we were a joint family, we used to live in Santa Cruz, but we used to come every day to Panjim because Sharda Mandir was here, all the shops. Another thing, you know, the Michelin star restaurant, Rio Rico. Unfortunately, we can't go anywhere, you know, anymore to Rio Rico in Mandavi. But really, really resonates with old style, you know, the same setting, the same music, you know, the food was to die for. You know, I really miss the food from Rio Rico. I don't know how many of you all had gone to Cafe Central where they used to serve snacks. They used to actually have sitting places. I was very young, but I used to go with my parents and they, you know. So these are things that are forever etched in your memory about Panji, and you know, and it's great that, you know, I love this city. It's great that it's kept some of its character still. And I hope that, you know, all these houses, whether they are bright yellow colored, red colored, the cobble streets, I mean, it's amazing. Unfortunately, when, you know, I was the PDA chairman for a couple of years, and you know, in the wrong person in that place, but I tried to, you know, Heta will remember, you know, we took a help of all of you, and we said we'll make certain parts of Panji as cobble streets, and I got huge opposition. They said, what do you think you are? You know, you have your businesses and you have, but please don't interfere in our businesses. We don't want any cobble streets. We want our cars right up to come. You know, you do that in Altin where you live, and you should be happy with it. But these are things that you can't forget, and I think each one of us have to make a real effort. While development will happen, and while it's good that development happens, and you know, more and more people earn a revenue stream out of that, we must not destroy the fabric of the city. You know. And there are certain things that Preeta said, like, you know, if you just take this area and you walk for about 10 minutes here, you can see so much of Panji which we should not lose, you know. For example, I hope that our future generation never destroys Kaza Tempo and comes up with a commercial building there. I hope it will not happen, and I pray to God that it will never happen. But I think there are certain structures that you need to maintain. And you should really go and see, as Preeta says, that house is maintained to what it was a few hundred years back. Even now, for Lakshmi Pujan the other day, which was 3 days back, we do something called Chopdi Pujan. What is Chopdi Pujan? We take out the old pens, we dip the ink, and we write the first letter. And we put all the God's name, then we do a swastika on it. So that was, now of course everything is on computer, you don't need the pens. But we've still kept that tradition to continue. And all the men in the house, they write that book, and then it's kept in front of the God, the puja is done, and that's how we do Lakshmi Puja. So I think very important to teach the younger generation what traditions each family is got and how we maintain it. It was wonderful to talk to you guys, and I hope the Goa Heritage Action Group continues with such noble work that they have been doing, and I think heritage walks are extremely important to sensitize people, as I said, to while development will go on and while there'll be lots of you can't avoid traffic, you can't avoid number of people coming to the city. The way we go to other cities, people will come here, and we should welcome it. But I think we should maintain some character of the city that our ancestors have given us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Srinivas. I would like to invite Mr. Raj D'Souza to come speak to us next. He is the past president of GCCI, and the festival has been associated with GCCI right from its first edition, with also the help from Ms. Pallavi. Welcome.
Good evening, and thank you for inviting me today. Well, I'm a little different from everybody because I never lived in Panjim, but I've been a visitor to Panjim since I was a little child. For us, Panjim meant a dream. It's one of the most beautiful cities. My work and my travel has taken me out to many countries, and I've seen that there are not many places that are as beautiful as Panjim. Of course, the difference is they are better maintained, maybe neater and cleaner. But at the end of the day, a city by the river is something to cherish. We have a city that grew up and changed with time. This I've seen as a kid. We had lots of different types of architecture, and came 50s, and we saw Art Deco coming to Panjim. There are so many buildings across the river. It moved along with time. And then, what attracted us most in Panjim was, besides the amazing lift of Mandovi, we couldn't sleep 3 nights after we moved into the lift, trying to figure out how this thing could happen. Was the little tricks we were given in Panjim. There was a little ice cream parlor called Eskimo. From the garden, if you go by the lane opposite Tato, around the corner, past Lakaki, this is where it was. And there was something we could not fathom. We used to have something called 3-in-1, 3 scoops of different colors. They did the same, but they were different. Then also, we were taken to 2 other places. One was Cafe Tato, and what Mr. Srinivas said, opposite was Cafe Central, where it was not a dispensing and a retail counter that we have today, but it was a Pakka hotel. Another ice cream parlor was Al Livre, touching Cine Nacional in the garden. That was with all the beach umbrellas in the city. When a lot of people said there was the eldest beer, we used to have our ice creams there. There is a very famous sweet called Pastéis de Nata, or they call them Pastéis de Balen. Now they make them in Padaria Pragira. But during those days, Cafe Moderna used to make a beautiful version of it. Absolutely amazing. So these were the days for us. Panjim meant a treat. If you come to visit the relatives, you should just say hello, and our mind was what's going to happen next. So then we grew up. I did my postgrad studies in Panjim. And this is where we met friends, we had a great time. The clubs, the dances were amazing. You had to have stamina because they used to start at 10 and get over at 6 in the morning. Very often, our friends used to come from other parts of India, used to have a drink with us, and we used to be very surprised that we used to have in small packs, half. Are you Goan, what are you drinking? So we used to explain to them, Are Baba, we learned to drink in a dance hall. We have to last the entire night. The trick was to last the entire night, and if you had competition that I had the same girl you did, buy him the full pack. He would be under the table by half the night. So that was fun. That was the Panjim that I knew as a kid, as I grew up in. A pretty city, city of dreams. We all live and love Panjim. There are a lot of changes that have taken place. We cannot stop development, but we can respect certain buildings which need to be conserved, and we are the custodians of our heritage for our children and the other generations. A lot of work has been going on. The future is your guess as good as mine. But let's hope that Panjim remains pretty, a dream city to all of us always. A city where I didn't live, but a city where I love. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Lal. Next up, who I consider and everyone considers an institution in near Azad Maidan, I'd love to welcome Mr. Vaman Bhati to come and give us a few words. It's also his debut speech.
Good evening, friends. I am Bhate of Varsha Bookstall. This Varsha Bookstall was started in the year 1963 by my uncle, late Mahadev Narayan. Subsequently, in 65, I just joined him to assist him. And since then, I am there in Varsha Bookstall. In those days, there was quick ferry service from Donapaula to Vasco Arga. And for that, for going to Donapaula, to Kamijam or Karre, we used to start from here. There was a tiled roof house. One Mr. Quadrus was the owner. And there were two trees, one jackfruit and one breadfruit. So Nirpanas. And this is one thing why it was morning time. All the employees going to Vasco for MPT or Goa, they used to get into the ferry at Donapaula jetty, go to Vasco. Certainly I do not know, but a few years later it was the service was stopped. After that, there was taxi service from here to Agasem, because there was no Juwari bridge. And that was the way to Madgaon and Vasco people. Ferry boat. They had to cross the ferry and go. That was another thing. The third thing, after 1970, when after Mandavi bridge got ready, there was direct taxi service from here to Makta, or direct bus service from here to North Goa, Maksa, Asnoda, Bicholi, Sakari, Varpo. That was till 1980-85. This was all crowded. This was the prime landmark. In between, I remember for few years, not few months, not years, this Azad Maidan was used as bus stand. When the old bus stand was renovated, opposite post office, it was renovated, and the North Goa buses were leaving from here. And after the main KTC bus stand was ready, this bus stand was shifted. Then after that, this one, the taxi service also, Masa taxi service was stopped. Juwari bridge was ready, Akshi service was closed. Then the importance of this location, it was reduced. Even there was crowd for ferry just to go on the other side. That was also reduced. In those days, in 1963, Navin Times was the first English paper. Before that, Portuguese Herald was there. I think it started in 63.
Yes.
63. Yeah, it was priced at 4 paisa daily and 6 paisa on Sunday. And in those days, what the weird problem of coins was 1 paisa, 2 paisa and 3 paisa. Those coins were not available in money, just to return the balance. This was 63. No, then after that, many some of West Coast Times came, Bogota Times. They started, they were closed down also. But Navin Times, and then Portuguese Herald was converted in English. Rajan Narayan, he was the editor initially. I think he was the first editor. And that is how this newspaper line, then Marathi paper. After that, this particular ground, as Prajal said, We have witnessed all the Andolans on this ground. This was used as a bus stand. This was used for public. In fact, initially used for nearby schools because these schools did not have their own ground. This was used as playground and PT. PT period was spent on the ground. After that, for few years, there was a theatre here for Marathi dramas. For company dramas, they were showing. या कॉर्नर पत्र्याचे थिएटर फॉर फ्यू मंथ्स ते थिएटर बंद जालें आणि न्यू वन वॉज नॉट रेडी त्या वेळार ते हांगा थोडे दीस चल्ले after that we were in newspaper line till 1970. Then we added some magazines, then slowly we went on for books also. But now we are doing well, but we are losing the time that we had before. The crowd was here and public was passing this. Now it is all reduced. Second thing is because of the COVID also for last 3 years. This leadership also has gone down. Cafe Prakash also is closed down, partly. He opens but not functioning as it was earlier. It was supposed, Cafe Prakash was supposed to be one main hotel. I think I have heard that many visitors they used to come to eat his recipes. In those days when his father was running it. He was there till 1978. Then he left, it was handed over to his next generation. Now, as far as Varsha bookstall is concerned, many great personalities, Bhausaheb Pandorkar CM, he used to come to us. Taka जाय आशिल्लें सकाळी फुडें तेन्ना delivery बी तेन्ना that concept was not there in Goa. He used to come, collect his paper and go. Then Parsekar of course. पर्रीकर स्पेशली तो आमकां तापयतालो कसलें बूक हाडला म्हणून आनी ताका आवडलें एक 2 पुस्तकां घेवनूय वतालो यूज टू बाय फ्री अशी न्हू आनी बरो तो हें आशिल्लो एकदां अशें जालें एन राम फ्रॉम हिंदू ही केम टू वी हॅड नेवर सीन इन हर्ड ऑफ दॅट and someone had given him our address saying that whatever is his requirement, some books he will get with Varsha bookstall. He came to us. He came in a taxi. And that time he was in Goa for there was felicitation program of Sahitya Akademi award winner Damodar Mahoday. So त्या एका आयिल्लो and he gave me the list. I saw the list. He would get some 10-12 books out of 25. And then his wife was there. She saw Hindu paper with her. You also keep Hindu? I said yes. We are the dealers in Panjim, Goa. Then she said, we come from India. And I was surprised. Then they asked her, can I know who you are? She said, I am his wife. Then who is he? He is Mr. N. That is how we knew that. These great personalities like this, they have done, in spite of not knowing also, we have done chatting with them. Some have replied, some have responded, some have kept quiet. But we have been doing it.
How old were you when you started being associated with Varsha bookstall?
I was 14 years old. 14? Yeah. 1-4. We come from a village in Bisholi, Naru. We will have a walk there. Prajal, we will have a walk in Naru.
Beautiful place,
Yeah.
beautiful place.
Naru Bisholi.
Yeah, Bisholi. तुमच्या मायन साशिल्लो
फाटल्यान आमची मायन
ना ना म्हणून तुमी चामुंडेक तुमी काल्याक वयता. This is all that I can talk. Anything? This is my cousin, my uncle's daughter is Varsha. So the business is named because she was born in Dolly. Thank you.
For a first time speech, I think that was excellent. I'd like like to invite Eta Pandit to give us a vote of thanks. Along with Jack, they've been the driving force of this festival. Please welcome.
Thank you, Hari. Thank you everyone for turning up today. It really warms our heart. We must be doing something right. So thank you again. And thanks to our speakers this evening, Ral, Srinivas, Vaman Bhai, and Vivek, Rajal, and Preeta, for not just sharing stories, but for making us aware that these are not just stories or nostalgia, but they are evidence of history, not just of the city, but the interweaving of people's lives, the personalities of this city. So thank you to the speakers. And also a big thanks to all the resource persons that we have rechristened the Pasoi card. So thanks to all our Pasoi cards to share their research with us, to share their knowledge with us so freely and generously. And thanks to the press also for coming in such large numbers. Thanks to Pallavi for to all our sponsors and supporters, because without them we wouldn't be standing here and doing a 15-day 30-walk festival. So thanks to all our supporters and our sponsors. And the team that is really the rock or the backbone behind this festival. And I'd like to introduce each member of our team. I'd like Rajal to give them a badge. But before that, I want Preeta to give a small token of appreciation to our speakers this evening. So, Srinivas.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Please go through it.
Sure.
I'd like to thank Mr. Nilesh from PTAG also. They've been very supportive, always with us, always supportive. This is Peter's book, Kota Kota. That is what we came about through our bookworm work on heritage walk. So we had so much material through our walk that we put together this book, and unfortunately we are running out of copies, but now with all the changes in Panjim, we need to do another edition. And yeah, we have to reprint it by this year, and you will see that it has a lot of free space for you to make your own notes and sketches as you walk with this book through Panjim. Thank you. We'll start with Poonam. Poonam is the co-founder of the Goa Heritage Action Group, and also very, very vigilant. She runs a hawk's eye over the festival. So if we are sort of slipping, she is the one who puts our hats, thinking hats back on. Poonam, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Kalpana is an architect, but I haven't seen any architecture. She's a crafts person, promotes Goan craft. She will be conducting the walk on craft. Yeah, in future new the craft walk is going to be conducted related by I don't know if Leandro is here. Leandro, are you here? Leandro is at Africa, he's doing the walk, the sketch walk.
Urban sketch.
Rishan is an IT professional, very much hands-on behind the walk festival, keeps all the walks together and participates, very active part of the team. Who's joining the walk, how they're registering, what's the content. He's edited all the content of each and every of these 30 walks. It's not an easy job.
I first met Ishan at a walk that was happening right here, and now he's become become part of the team, and I'm so happy to be part
And
of
also a persuader. He's also a persuader. He's doing the art deco walk.
it. You walk.
So yeah, okay. There's Kavita.
Yeah.
Kavita is a walking computer. Everyone who registers for the walk, she puts the walk and the guests lives together and make sure that it's capped at a certain number depending on the request of the person. Adam?
Kavita came for every walk that happened as part of the first edition, and she's always been a supporter of the walk. This time she's signed up to be part of the team. So thank you.
That's how we make it better.
Adam's our in-house photographer. Go for that. Jack?
There he is.
Jack wears so many hats, so we took them all off and gave him a star. It's part of PPAG, part of GHAG, part of BCCI. Thank you. Saloni? Saloni is our art and graphics. All the creatives are by Saloni. Thank you for being with us. Anyone else? Hurry.
Harry, come.
Teachers.
Tejas.
The team.
Hurry.
Harry, come here.
He's the Harihara Prince of
So I think we should say something about Azad. He has single-handedly managed 3 editions, and yes, this time we are all helping him, and we can say helping him, but he doesn't need really help because he's been doing a splendid job of managing so many editions. 3 editions, all season wonderful. Yeah, I would like to add this year, the big thing that GHAG has reached out to all the heritage walas, because they are not necessarily only heritage people, to be participant of GHAG Slam. And I would like Hari to speak about it just now, because I think this is something we are creating and reaching out, going beyond Goa, to reach out to people, to create a community, increase the awareness, and it's called India Walk Slam.
I think I've got to know Goa really well because of all the resource people that have taken me on walk, and I think it's been really, really important. But we know across the country there are many similar organizations working towards something very similar in their own ways, and sometimes you tend to feel isolated and alone in what you're doing, but we know there are other people like us. So this time to celebrate India Heritage Week on the 19th of November, we're doing something called the India Walk Slam, where people from all over the country are doing a walk on the same day at the same time to feel a sense of solidarity, which we're really, really excited about.
Don't forget that 19th November is International Men's Day. Don't forget to International Men's Day. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Big thank you to Teacher. Snigdha and join us. Snigdha for the last edition gave us a whole team and e-bags that they couldn't reach us. It's really, really wonderful.
And thank you everyone to be here. It was good for it to be starting over. So now,
All the partakers, please join us for a group picture.
Anyone conducting walks, please come join us for a picture.
Thank you all
now
for
you'll
being
see
here.
how big a group it is.
Yeah, good. Light.
Closer. His group photo.
Sorry.
Sir, Ashaya. झाले आणि कोण सर सर
Excuse me.
शॉट घेऊया सर 3 शॉट ब्रेक लाईट मारे
आशीर्वाद केना आहे ना
सर भाई रेडी गोवा हेरिटेज एक्शन ग्रुपान हेरिटेज वॉक ऑर्गनायज केला त्याच्याबद्दल तुम्ही आमकां सांगचे कितें एक्चुअल कितें आहा
Goa Heritage Action Group was established in 2000, 30th September 2000, and as part of the Walk Festival, Heritage Walk Festival, there are a number of walks which are organized from tomorrow till December first week. And as inauguration झाले, inauguration in the hands of Srinivas Bob Tempo, and we spoke about the various aspects. History of Azad Maidan I spoke, then Prita Sardesai shared her experiences about the city of Panjim as she grew up in the city. Then Vaman Bhate, the owner of the Varsha bookstall, he spoke about his connection with Panjim city and how Varsha bookstall grew as a the eminent bookstalls in Panjim. Ralph D'Souza shared his experiences. So Vivek Menezes shared his experiences about the history and heritage of Panjim. So that's how it was the beginning. And we had a very good response, and in the years to come, Goa Heritage Action Group has really carved a niche for itself, and we have been campaigning for various historical monuments, heritage sites, and that's how the message is to keep the heritage and history of not only Panjim but the whole of Goa. We campaign and we feel that it should be preserved for posterity.
What are the objectives behind organizing such kind of heritage walk?
The objectives is, first of all, it is creating awareness about the history. People come to know about the history when you walk with our group. So, for example, Azad Maidan कित्याक म्हणटाले ते एक्सप्लेन केले आज की हांगा सिंधुताई देशपांडे आणि लक्ष्मण गोयेकरान सत्याग्रह केलो 25 नोव्हेंबर 1954. So it got connected with that name, and मागीर ताका लार्गो दे सेत जानेलास म्हणटाले because there is a house with 7 windows here. So like that, once you are on the walk, you get to know a lot of knowledge about the history and heritage of the place, of the precinct, and that's why the walks are very important.
Mainly which place is this walk going to happen, sir?
There are going to be Art Deco walk in Panjim, there will be Bondwal Lake walk, there will be Craft walk in Bicholi, there will be Mandodari Lake in Savoy. So a number of walks are planned, and some are specific to the place and some are general walks. It is not only about historical monuments, it's also talking about art spaces, it's also talking about streets, it's also talking about food, it's also talking about crafts. So we look upon heritage as holistic. It's very comprehensive, and heritage is not only historical monuments, it is natural heritage, it is cultural heritage, it is built heritage or historical monuments. So every aspect of our life which is connected with the past, in a positive sense, I would say is heritage. And that's why we need to make people aware of the heritage, and that's the purpose of this walk.
So what are the awareness you have done? Any awareness program is done?
Awareness program?
Yeah.
Yes. Over the years now, we have been, I've told you that it was established in 2000. Over the years, Goa Heritage Action Group has contributed a lot to the, keeping alive of heritage. We also work with the State Archaeology Department, is there, Varad. So we have, it is not a confrontationist kind of an attitude. We are very positive, and we would like to work with, various agencies to keep alive the heritage.
How many participation you expect for the work? Expectation for the work, the participation?
In fact, I think it's houseful. There are a number of people, and there are no seats available. So the walks do very well, and they are over. It's I think no vacancy, no place. You will have booked the walks much in advance.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.